Today, the unthinkable just happened in space. An object from outside our solar system, known as 3I/ATLAS, has split perfectly in two. One half has completely vanished, and the other is sending structured signals directly toward Earth. Scientists are calling this discovery the most terrifying moment in the history of astronomy. And by the time you reach the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why. Because 3I/ATLAS may not be a comet. It may be alive. Stay with me, Tan, because what happens next will change everything we thought we knew about the universe. If you love the unknown, the cosmic, and the impossible, hit that like button. Let the universe know you're watching. Every single click keeps our search for truth alive. And comment below where you're tuning in from. I want to see what corners of Earth are witnessing this mystery with me right now. You see, I've spent over 4 decades studying the deepest laws of the universe. Gravity, quantum mechanics, the structure of space-time itself. I thought I'd seen every anomaly, every strange twist in the cosmic fabric, but then, just 11 hours ago, 3I/ATLAS shattered everything I believed about reality. It didn't explode, it didn't crumble, it didn't behave like anything we've ever seen. It split, cleanly, perfectly, precisely in half, as though it were designed to do so. No debris, no shockwave, no chaos, just a flawless division, like a surgical cut through the fabric of the cosmos itself. When the first alert came in from NASA, I thought it was a systems glitch. But the data from Chile, Hawaii, and the European Space Network all confirmed the impossible. 3I/ATLAS had split, and then one half vanished. Not drifted, not obscured, not hidden by sunlight. Gone. Completely erased from every deep space sensor. You have to understand, humanity can track a satellite the size of a basketball orbiting Earth. We can see galaxies being born 13 billion years ago. Yet somehow, we lost an object the size of a mountain. How do you explain that? There is no physical law and no gravitational anomaly that could make an interstellar body split that cleanly, then disappear without a trace. This wasn't chaos. It was controlled. And that's what terrifies me most, because that means someone or something is behind it. Watching, waiting, acting with intelligence. Now here's where things get even stranger. Just 48 hours before the split, 3I/ATLAS was perfectly stable, following every known law of orbital physics. Its movement was precise down to milliseconds. No odd velocity spikes, no spectral distortions. Everything was textbook perfect. Until suddenly it wasn't. Without warning and without any natural trigger, Atlas began to accelerate. And I don't mean a minor drift. It shot forward at a rate that broke every known equation of celestial motion. Normally, when a comet moves away from the sun, it slows down as gravity weakens, but 3I/ATLAS did the opposite. The farther it got from the sun, the faster it went. Data from telescopes across Chile, Hawaii, and the European Observatory showed an exponential increase in speed, with almost zero margin of error. No gas jets, no ion tail, no signs of propulsion, nothing that could explain movement that's smooth and that deliberate. It was accelerating in total silence. Teams at Harvard, Caltech, and the European Space Physics Center worked day and night to simulate every possibility. Jupiter's gravity? Impossible. Solar wind? No effect. Magnetic anomalies? None. Every model collapsed. There was no natural cause. No physical mechanism that could make this happen. So they were forced to confront the one explanation no scientist ever wants to face. That 3I/ATLAS might not be natural at all. The initial stability, the deliberate acceleration, the flawless surgical split. Every sign pointed to something built, not born. A probe, perhaps, a disguised observer, a machine designed to mimic a comet, while operating on physics far beyond human comprehension. If that's true, then this wasn't just a cosmic curiosity. It was a message, a signal, a reminder that we are not alone. Then came the second anomaly, 36 hours before the split, every major observatory detected something unbelievable. Energy pulses, perfectly timed, perfectly uniform, coming from ATLAS's core. Not radiation bursts, not random flares, but structured pulses repeating every 11 minutes, down to the nanosecond. No natural process could produce that kind of precision. Not even neutron stars, the most stable rotators in the known universe, are that consistent. Yet 3I/ATLAS was flawless. Its signal was like the heartbeat of an enormous machine, echoing through deep space. That's when the debate started. One group believed it was a natural phenomenon, a new kind of stellar reaction we'd never observed. But the others, experts in quantum energy, radio analysis, and astrophysical encoding, argued the unthinkable, that these were intelligent pulses. Because the signal wasn't random, it followed a clear mathematical pattern, a repeating structure identical to coded communication. When scientists compared it to human-made signals, radio modulations, Morse waveforms, binary tones, the similarity was shocking. This wasn't chaos, it was communication, and the terrifying part, it wasn't us sending it, it was them. Whoever, or whatever, built 3I/ATLAS was speaking first. 18 hours before the split, things took an even darker turn. Under constant global surveillance, 3I/ATLAS began to change shape. At first, it was subtle, just a small distortion in its reflection, a faint warping of light. But then, hour by hour, it morphed. From a sphere into something cylindrical, smooth, symmetrical, engineered. In just 2 hours, a structure thousands of feet wide reshaped itself with surgical precision, and yet somehow didn't disintegrate. Every known law of physics said this was impossible. Rock, metal, ice, none could withstand that kind of stress. It should have shattered instantly. But it didn't. Instead, it transformed, flawlessly, as if following a pre-programmed sequence. Data from Chile, Japan, and South Africa confirmed the same thing. Its surface didn't melt, it didn't crack. It changed with geometric precision, like a colossal machine awakening from dormancy. And then, just as suddenly as it began, the transformation stopped. The 11-minute energy pulse that had been repeating for days went silent. All emissions ceased, no radiation, no energy output. For the first time in weeks, absolute silence. Every scientist monitoring the event froze, because silence in deep space often means only one thing. Something has shifted modes. The object was no longer emitting. It was listening. Then came the moment that would change the course of human history. 11 hours later, the impossible happened. 3I/ATLAS, perfectly still, perfectly silent, split apart. No explosion, no debris. Just a clean, flawless division straight through its core, like a cosmic surgery executed by unseen hands. The two halves floated apart gently, balanced perfectly, almost too perfectly. NASA designated them Object A and Object B for tracking purposes. At first, everything appeared calm. Both halves drifted smoothly, maintaining their distance in near-perfect symmetry. But then, Object B moved. It didn't drift, it didn't curve. It made a perfect right-angle turn, a maneuver so unnatural it broke every rule of orbital mechanics known to science. It accelerated sharply, not gradually, reaching speeds far beyond anything natural in the cosmos. And then, it vanished. Completely, not out of sight, not hidden. Vanished from existence. Every telescope, radar, and deep space scanner lost the signal in the exact same instant. NASA's data stream gone. The European Space Agency, same. Even military satellites. Zero trace. No light scattering, no heat trail, nothing. An object the size of a mountain traveling faster than anything known had simply stopped existing. The world's top astrophysicists sat in silence, staring at their screens. Because there was only one explanation, and it wasn't natural. Someone, or something, had the ability to cloak, fold, or move entire masses of matter out of our physical plane. And if Object B was capable of that, it wasn't gone. It was hiding, watching. 4 hours later, the remaining half, Object A, began to whisper, a faint hum buried deep in the radio spectrum. At first, it seemed like background noise, but when researchers at Arecibo cleaned up the data, the truth hit like lightning. It wasn't noise, it was communication, a sequence of tones rising and falling with precise mathematical ratios. Ratios identical to prime numbers. That's not random, that's intelligent design. It was the same sequence humanity once used in the 1970s when we sent our first greeting into deep space. The Voyager Golden Record. Except this time, we weren't sending the message, we were receiving one. For 31 continuous minutes, the pulse played perfectly. Every observatory on Earth, from Hawaii to Madrid, received the same message. But only those tuned directly toward 3I/ATLAS picked it up. Nothing else in the sky was producing it. And then, scientists noticed something that made their blood run cold. The signal wasn't broadcasting outward into the void. It was aimed inward, back toward the exact coordinates where Object B, the vanished half, had disappeared. Almost like a call, a summons. Like one half of the entity was calling to its twin. Then, as abruptly as it began, the signal stopped. For a few minutes, the universe fell into perfect silence. Then, deep space sensors picked up a faint but unmistakable gravitational ripple, coming from 2 astronomical units closer to Earth. Object B, the one that vanished, was back, and it was moving. At first, scientists hoped it was just passing by, a harmless flyby across the edge of the solar system. But as more data streamed in, one horrifying pattern emerged. It wasn't drifting, it was steering. Each micro-adjustment in its orbit was precise, deliberate. NASA's internal reports marked classified stopped referring to it as an anomaly. Instead, they used a new term, controlled object. When the James Webb Space Telescope locked onto it, the image it sent back left every engineer speechless. It wasn't rocky, it wasn't icy, it was smooth, metallic. Its surface reflected starlight perfectly like liquid steel. No craters, no fractures, not a single natural formation. The spectroscopic reading showed no material matching any known element in our solar system. It was engineered material. And then came the final twist, the one that made entire departments at NASA go silent. 3I/ATLAS began to slow down. No thrust, no energy trail, no propulsion signature, just perfect deceleration. It was like watching a colossal ship engage invisible brakes, something that, by every standard of physics, should not be possible. From that moment on, the world's major space agencies locked down. No more public reports, no more press releases. The last encrypted message received through the Deep Space Network was chillingly simple. Object B holding position, awaiting instructions unsigned, uncoded, followed by 3 haunting words repeated at the end of the transmission. Awaiting instructions. For nearly 6 hours, Object B, the missing half of 3I/ATLAS, remained motionless near Jupiter's orbit. No light, no radiation, no thermal signature. It was as if the entire solar system held its breath, waiting for something to happen. And then, it did. At precisely 3:20 UTC, every major radio telescope on Earth lit up at once. From the Atacama Array in Chile to the Very Large Array in New Mexico to the Deep Space Monitors in Australia. They all picked up a massive burst of electromagnetic energy, perfectly synchronized with the coordinates of Object B. At first, it looked like chaos, a storm of gamma rays, X-rays, and radio waves flooding across multiple frequencies. But once decoded through spectrometric analysis, something extraordinary emerged. Hidden within the noise were patterns. Not random static, but symmetrical sequences, waveforms, blueprints, diagrams. It wasn't just transmitting, it was communicating. Each pulse carried geometric structures that mirrored designs seen in particle physics. Toroidal energy fields, symmetrical loops, and what appeared to be vectors of rotation. like instructions. And here's where things got even more disturbing. Those signals weren't directed into deep space. They were focused straight toward Earth. Within minutes, several satellites orbiting our planet began to malfunction. Communication systems went dark. Defense networks flickered. Even climate observation satellites reported sudden data corruption. NASA tried to dismiss it as cosmic interference, a solar flare maybe. But every expert knew better. The timing was too exact. Each system failure occurred precisely when the electromagnetic pulses from Object B reached Earth's upper atmosphere, as if the signal wasn't just being received, it was activating something. Something already here, in orbit, or maybe beneath us. Meanwhile, the other half, Object A, began to glow. Deep within its smooth metallic surface, a soft red light flickered to life. It pulsed rhythmically, in perfect sync with Object B's transmissions. For hours, both halves, one orbiting near Mars, the other near Jupiter, pulsed together like two synchronized hearts beating across billions of kilometers. One transmitting, one responding. And then researchers discovered the most haunting fact of all. The axes of their rotations were converging, not toward each other, not toward the sun, but directly along Earth's orbital path. The realization spread through every major observatory within minutes. If the alignment continued, both halves of 3I/ATLAS would intersect their energy fields right where Earth was expected to be within days. Behind the scenes, encrypted messages leaked from inside multiple space agencies. Someone within the European Space Network described a planetary-scale magnetic structure forming between the two halves. Others spoke of data showing energy readings similar to what CERN's particle accelerators produce, but magnified billions of times. In other words, the two halves weren't just drifting. They were building something, a system, maybe a network, or worse, a machine. At that exact time, strange anomalies began to appear on Earth. Magnetic compasses around the world started to drift. GPS signals lost accuracy by several meters. Airline pilots reported spontaneous interference in navigation systems. Even migratory birds began to veer off course, flying in chaotic new directions. The planet's magnetic field itself, that invisible shield protecting us from cosmic radiation, was fluctuating. For a brief window of time, it felt as though something massive and unseen had brushed against our world's energy field. Like the edge of a hand brushing the surface of still water, a ripple across the ocean of space, and humanity was standing right in the middle of it. As the data poured in, a single terrifying question echoed through every scientific lab and classified meeting room. What happens when the two halves finally connect? No one could answer. No one wanted to. Because whatever intelligence built 3I/ATLAS, whatever force was guiding those objects, seemed to be aligning them with surgical precision. And that precision was now directed at Earth. At 4:12 UTC, the synchronized pulses between Object A and Object B began to increase. Faster, louder, stronger. Sensors recorded massive fluctuations in electromagnetic fields across the solar system. Even the sun's corona reacted. A sudden solar flare erupted, perfectly timed with the peak of the pulse. But this was no ordinary cosmic coincidence. Every major analysis showed the same result. The flare was triggered. Object B had sent an energy burst strong enough to reach the solar surface, and the sun had responded. The universe itself had answered back. Then, all at once, silence. Total radio blackout. No signals, no energy readings, just an eerie, empty void. And then, the signal returned. But this time, it was no longer random pulses or geometric patterns. It was language, structured, deliberate sequences repeating in fractal intervals. Decoded audio analysis revealed something horrifyingly familiar. Hidden within the modulation frequencies was human syntax, patterns of speech, cadences, intonations. It was speaking to us, but not in any known language, rather in ours, distorted and mirrored as though it had learned from us, like it had been listening to our transmissions for decades. Our probes, our satellites, our golden record, and now it was responding. Every telescope on Earth locked onto the coordinates of Object B near Jupiter. For a moment, nothing. Just darkness. Then slowly, the blackness shimmered. A structure began to reveal itself. Faintly metallic, shaped like a massive ring. An enormous circular construct, rotating gently, emitting a soft crimson glow. And from its center, a single pulse of light. Narrow, focused, and perfectly aligned with Earth. It wasn't just a signal anymore, it was a target lock. Now astronomers, physicists, and military analysts around the world are racing against time to understand what's coming next. Because both halves of 3I/ATLAS are no longer drifting. They're synchronizing. Their rotational frequencies, energy levels, and magnetic fields are converging toward one singular resonance point, projected exactly where Earth will be in a few short days. The last recorded message from the Deep Space Network arrived minutes before total communications blackout. The message contained only one line, short, fragmented, and untranslated. But when cryptographers analyzed its binary code, one phrase stood out in English letters embedded deep within the transmission. It read, "The awakening has begun." So what is 3I/ATLAS really? An alien machine? A cosmic observer? Or something far older, something the universe itself is activating? Whatever it is, one thing is clear. This event will redefine everything we know about life, intelligence, and the meaning of existence itself. Because somewhere far beyond our world, something just woke up. If this story gave you chills, hit the like button and share your thoughts below. Do you think 3I/ATLAS is alive? Or is it part of something even greater, something waiting for the right moment to reveal itself? Your curiosity and support keep these cosmic investigations alive. Until next time, keep your eyes on the stars. Because the universe is finally looking back.